Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we're going to be talking about tiny towns. Don't forget to stay tuned to the very end for our pounds and inches update.
Alright, so in tiny towns, we are all these cute little animals. All these cute little guys. We've come together to make these tiny towns. Chicken.
I don't know if that's a frog or a toad or a salamander. It doesn't matter. Does not matter.
It's probably a salamander. That makes the most sense.
A salamander?
I don't know. So in these tiny towns, what we're going to do is we're going to be drafting cubes. These are the building materials for our different buildings. So if I grab a cube, everybody else has to grab a cube of the same color and put it in their town somewhere. And then, on the next person's turn, they're going to grab a cube of whatever color they choose, and then all the rest of us are going to have to put a cube of that color in our town. Eventually, we're going to switch to turn those cubes into buildings. All the buildings have different powers. I'm going to give you a really quick overview, show you kind of what it looks like, but I'm not going to teach it because I'm terrible at teaching on these videos, at least. So this is going to be a quick overview. Let me show you what it looks like. Alright, so in Tiny Towns, we're going to start off with this 4x4 grid. It's our empty town. Basically, what's going to happen is we're going to take turns around the table choosing a color of cube. So let's say we go first. We're going to take a blue cube. We're going to put it somewhere on our board. And then everyone else on the table is then also going to be forced to take one of those blue cubes, put it somewhere on their board. And it's going to go around the table. Everyone else is going to pick a cube. Let's say someone else picks a brown. So then we have to take a brown as well, put it somewhere on our board. Someone picks a silver. We've got to put a silver on our board. It's going to go round and round. Basically, we're going to put a whole bunch of cubes on our board. At some point, though, we're going to want to turn those cubes into buildings, and ultimately those buildings are going to be what gives us victory points. When we are taking these cubes and putting them on our board, we're putting them in patterns. The patterns are going to be something like this. So in order to build this cottage, you need to have those 3 cubes in any order kind of like that. You can flip it around, upside down, turn it sideways, kind of invert it that way. As long as it makes that shape with those exact colors, it's going to work. In every game, the cottages are going to be the same. There's this little blue house there, and that's going to be like that. But all the rest of the buildings, you have some choices. There are 4 cards of each type of building. You're going to shuffle them up and choose one of them. And now there is a preset they recommend for your first time playing the game. But after that, you're totally safe to just take all 4 of them, shuffle them up, choose one of them, and that's what you're going to use that round. Each one of them has a slightly different way of scoring and a slightly different way of what cubes are required in order to build it. So for instance, the cottage, it says, this building needs to be fed. So with 3 points if it's fed. And these farms, or that farm symbol on the back of these cards, those are going to be all kinds of different ways that you can feed farms. This one says it feeds all of them that are in the same row and column as itself. This one says it feeds 4 anywhere in your town. This one says that it feeds all buildings in the 8 surrounding squares. So they all have different ways of kind of doing a similar thing, but you have to each round is a different challenge. You kind of have to adapt your strategy depending on what cards are out for that particular game. We have these yellow cards that largely have to do with where they are on the board. Then we have these, these smaller ones here. These are, the one you see the first is the well. But basically, every single one of them is just a brown and a gray cube next to each other. And they're worth not very many points because it's pretty easy to get to. But I'll use that as an example of how to build. So basically, we've got a gray and a brown next to each other. What we can do is we can build our well, in this case, let's say, on one of those 2 spots. So we remove those 2 cubes from the board and place the well somewhere where we picked up the cubes from. So we all have basically the same options throughout the game. We have all the same building choices to look at, all the same cards. So there's all these different choices. You have all these different buildings to build. But one of the things that sets each kind of town apart is these monument cards. There's a whole bunch of them in the game. At the beginning of the game, everyone's going to get dealt 2 of them. They're going to be wildly different things. This one says Grove University, basically 3 points, and then immediately you have to place another building on an empty square in your town. So you just get a free building. This one, the Sky Baths, it's kind of a complicated shape there, but you're going to get 2 points for each building type your town is missing. So if you went heavy on 2 or 3 different buildings, and then you didn't build, 3 other ones, it's going to be worth 6 points at the end of the game, which could be a lot. You're only going to get one of those monuments, and you're only going to use that card once. And wherever you place it, basically it's there for the rest of the game. And that's true for all the buildings. So the game's going to continue that way. We're all going to get cubes, place them on our board. Once we have a shape that we like, we can use those cubes to build a building. And we're just going to keep on filling in the board, emptying it to build a building, fill the board again. But there's going to come a point when we can no longer build anything else. There just isn't going to be enough room, and you're not going to have the right colors to build at a certain point. At that point, you're kind of out of the game. Everyone goes until they can no longer build. At that point, you take off all the cubes that are left on your board, and you're going to get negative points for all the spots that have nothing on them. And then you're going to score all your different buildings. Your cottages, again, only get points if they're fed, but your monument might get some points. Basically, all of them give you a chance at some points. You're going to add up all those points. Whoever has the most points at the end wins the game.
So I think that this game plays super fast.
Oh, yeah.
At least it feels fast. So even if it plays like the full, I think it says like, 45 minutes on the box or something.
That sounds
I mean,
right.
that is a short game. But it just doesn't feel like that long at all. It feels like you're sitting down for just a couple of minutes. And it helps because it's simultaneous play.
Mm-hmm.
So when one person calls something else, everybody's doing that exact same thing. So that kind of helps the game progress faster. I would watch out though if you're playing the full complement. What is it, 6 players?
Yep.
Yeah, that you just gotta wait a little bit sometimes, because I've played at the full complement where we're like 2 or 3 people in and you still haven't even placed your cubes from 2 or 3 people ago. But that's just you just need to slow down a little bit.
And the rules, I think it says something like raise your hand or something until, and then you wait till move on until everyone's got their hand raised.
Because it could be like this, and if you're not this person, just watch out for that.
I really like how each game of this can be different. You've got all these different buildings out there, and they all interact different ways. There's 4 different cards for each building, and plus tons of different options with the different monuments that each player has individually, and it's all going to interact differently with each other. So every time you play this game, it's going to be a slightly different experience. I really think that's a lot of fun. It's just it's just replayability is kind of the word to use, I suppose.
Yeah,
it's got tons of replayability.
I think that the gameplay itself is really streamlined. It's simplistic. That doesn't mean there's nothing like no strategy there. It's just a simplistic play. You take this, you place this, you build something, and that's it. And I really like that. I like how they kind of made it as base as it could be without taking away any game. Like, it's still really fun with it being super streamlined.
Yeah. I like how there's a lot of both strategy in this game and tactics. You kind of have to look at all the different cards that are out there for that particular round and kind of piece together what you think a good strategy might be. And you have to work towards those. And that way, you make sure you get your bigger buildings down. However, you're going to get thrown curveballs constantly. You're going to get someone who chooses the color that you were not wanting to have quite yet, and you have no room for it on your board, so you have to kind of adjust your plans on the fly continually. So I think it's got a really nice mix of both the strategy and the tactics. All right, so overall, I think that Tiny Towns is just it's the perfect kind of, weight of game. It's not too complex. It's not too simple. No matter what, a lot of people, a wide variety of people are going to really enjoy this experience, and it goes by so quickly. It's just a good time.
Yeah, I just want to repeat everything that Ryan said. I think that Tiny Towns is really good at the complexity level that it is, like the weight that it is. I just don't feel like a lot of games fill up that space. They're either lighter or just a touch heavier, and it's really nice to see a game that fills that space of the weight of this game. And I just think that's kind of neat. It's nice to have that. Well, guys, make sure to stay tuned to the very end for our Pounds and Inches update. But until then, you can always subscribe to us on YouTube under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. You can follow us on Facebook under Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. If you want to see the pictures of games we're currently playing, follow us on Instagram under Ryan and Bethany. And then you can always chat with us on Twitter under Ryan and Bethany 1.
All right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks everybody for staying tuned for our Pounds and Inches segment. All right, so just like in Tiny Towns, how you have to have both a keen eye for the strategy, the long-term planning, as well as being able to handle being thrown a curveball and kind of react to that in a way that's going to make you profitable. I'm finding that out with weight loss for me. I really like having a strategy, a game plan, so I do things like count calories, or I'll do things like pack my lunch to bring that to work. When I have those strategies in place, I do a really good job of succeeding. But one thing that I struggle with is when I'm thrown a curveball. So how do I react to that? Okay. Oh, someone brought in free donuts. I wasn't expecting that.
Don't want to waste them.
Yeah, I mean, they're there. They brought them in. It would be rude not to.
Yeah.
Or you know what? There's a good deal on pizza down the street. We should probably just go ahead and help out a local business.
Yeah. 5 times a week.
Yeah. So it's just, I think I need to incorporate more of that tactical reactions to this kind of weight loss puzzle, in addition to the strategies that I've been employing. I think once I have all those pieces put together, I think that, like a finely tuned game of Tiny Towns, be able to
You'll
lose some
have no
weight.
empty spaces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.